Hello everyone, Echo2361 here from the Stardrive 2 forums. Today I'm just going to be bringing a short video about the shipyard in Stardrive 2. I've had a few people requesting just more of a focus on the shipyard and ship designing in general, so I'm just going to put together a video just showcasing that aspect of it. Now what I'm using here is the Battle Arena shipyard, so I have access to all the technologies in the game. However, obviously when you're in the campaign designing ships, you're going to be limited by whatever technologies you've researched. I'm going to kind of restrict myself to like a medium level of technology for this design, and yeah, let's get started. I'm going to be designing a Pteris cruiser today, and the first thing I usually like to put on any ship is the engines, because, well, every ship needs some engines. I've got a few choices. I got basic engines. I could get some fusion powered engines that come at a higher cost to construct and use more energy. For this, I'm just going to go with some basic engines. Now, I could fit a huge engine on here. However, I'm not the type of person who puts all my eggs in one basket. So if I were to go into battle and this huge engine gets knocked out, my ship's going nowhere. So instead, I usually like to drop it down a level and go with a couple of large engines, and then just kind of fill in the space with small engines. Now, right now, the ship is showing me it could go at a speed of 70 with a turn rate of 105. Which is really impressive for a cruiser. But as you see, we're going to add a lot more weight to the ship, and you're going to see those numbers drop. Next up, I usually like to start to outfit the weapons of my ship. Something important to consider is the role the ship's going to play. If it's going to be a long-range threat, if it's going to be a short-range type ship, basically what do you want the ship to do? That's going to be dictated by the weapons. And here we can set the AI role, so if you're not controlling the ship, or if it's going to be an enemy ship design, the AI will know how to use it, how to use the ship in the way it's intended to be used. You can leave it at best guess, where it just kind of guesses based on the weapons. But there's a few different settings, so you can set it to be a screener, so a screening ship will try and protect the artillery ships in the back. Artillery ship can be like a missile ship with a lot of missiles, and it's going to stay back and fire. Interceptors are going to rush towards the enemy, try to get in real close. And then brawlers are like your big tanks. They're just going to go into the middle of a fight with lots of armor and shields and just trying to duke it out right there in the middle of the battle. So to start with, on a cruiser-sized vessel and up, I definitely want to have some flat cannons, because you never know when you're going to run into a crazy fighter swarm or some missiles that are going to try and ruin your day. So let's see. I also want to talk today about all the various modifications you can do to any basic weapon. So a flat cannon. I'm going to put a flat cannon here. You're going to see it's going to cover just the port side. But I want to do more than that. I want to provide full coverage for my vessel with just 2 flat cannons. I can do that by clicking the Arc Extend mod. And this is going to make it so that when I place this again, it covers half the entire port side of my vessel. And if I put one over here for symmetry, now I've got full coverage with flat cannons. Now the cost of this is, my production cost went up, as did the weight and the energy usage. So you have to be careful. You don't want to load all weapons with all mods, as enticing as that might sound, because that's going to really ramp up the cost of the vessel and make it something that's just too expensive to really produce in mass quantity. So now I've got some fighter protection. I also want to figure out what the main weapon of this vessel is going to be. Let's go with some antimatter torpedoes. Those are always fun. So, unlike other weapons that when you place them to cover, they fire in that direction of the section they're placed, so I put this here and it covered the port side. Some weapons are spinal mounts, and no matter where you put them, they're always going to fire forward, and that includes these torpedoes. So if I put these here, you're going to see, even though they're on the port and starboard sides, they're going to fire forward anyway. Now with the torpedoes, I have a few options. I could do the arc extend on these, which once again, always going to increase the production, the weight, and the power draw. And that would make it so they would cover the entire front of my vessel, so the ship doesn't have to totally turn to face the enemy directly head-on to fire the torpedoes. However, I don't foresee this ship being involved in super close combat very often, so I'm going to leave that off because I think it's going to be just fine the way it is. Another option is to go with the overload option. So when I click this, it increases the production cost, the weight, it also increases ammo usage, it actually decreases the firing arc, as you can see here, and it also has the power draw. However, it may be a little hard to see in the video, but the base damage of a torpedo is 2,000, and a torpedo, when I hit overload, it goes up to 2,500. So basically doing a trade-off on, you know, ammo usage, firing arc, and all that, but getting more bang for my buck. However, I think torpedoes are pretty powerful as is, so I'm going to leave that off. One thing I am going to take is the rapid fire, because torpedoes have a 20-second cooldown between firing, and that's a long time. If I do rapid fire, once again, production cost, weight, and power draw all increase, but the cooldown dropped down to 16 seconds. That's a fairly decent drop, so I'm going to actually have these guys set to rapid fire. Next up, I'm probably going to want some, let's go with some beam weapons. Fusion beams are a good mid-game beam weapon you can equip on a ship to expect it to have good results. Beam weapons are very good close-in, so let's say this ship is supposed to stay far away and fire torpedoes, but the enemy's going to close on it and they're going to try and do some damage. I'm going to want some beam weapons to protect myself. Put a couple of these here. The only new option here is the range extend mod, and that would increase the range that the beam would be able to deal damage effectively. It's hard to see again, but the basic range for these fusion beams is 150. If I hit the range extend, I can get that up to 187. But again, increased cost of production, weight, and power. Since these are just going to be designed as like a short range, oh no, the enemy is in close type weapon, I'm not going to do the range extend, just leave them there. Finally, let's go with a good all-around type balanced weapon. Let's go with some laser cannons. Drop these here. Again, I have all the various options if I wanted to, but I think I'm just going to leave them as standard. Now that I've got my ship selected, the weapon selected, at this point I'm going to set it to be an artillery ship since the primary weapons are going to be anti-matter torpedoes. I like to do defenses next. Now we've got a lot of options. We could do ECM jammers and defensive flares, and those will be good against enemy missiles. A lot of armor options and some shielding options. For armor, I'm going to go with plastisteel armor. It's a good mid-tier armor, just as strong as steel but lighter. And for armor, you can always modify it to be either reactive and or ablative. So reactive is good against explosive weapons. So if you're going to be facing an enemy that's going to be firing a lot of missiles at you in the campaign, you notice they got a lot of missile ships, you might want to make your armor reactive. It's going to increase the production and the mass, and it's also going to cause a power draw, which is very important to keep track of. Now if you're facing an enemy that's using a lot of energy weapons like lasers and beams and stuff, you really might want to consider ablative armor. Once again, this further increases the production cost, the mass, and the energy, the power draw. Let's spend a little here and actually keep both these on here, because I find that armor that has both these traits added to it is very resilient under fire. And in Stardrive 2, you're definitely going to want to keep your armor on the outer hull to protect the weapons. If you just have the weapons right up against the emptiness of outer space, when the enemy opens fire on you, they're going to take out your weapons really fast. So instead, I would recommend keeping your armor on the outer hull to absorb those hits first and keep your own weapons in the fight for longer. Next up, I'm going to go with some shielding. Now I've got some room here. I could fit some little level 1 shields in the port and starboard side to provide special shielding just for those sections, but I think I'm just going to stick with one large shield reactor right in the middle, and when you put shields in the middle, they provide coverage for the entire ship, which is something I think is important. Oops. Almost forgot to add a little bit of armor behind my engines. I think it's important, depending on the ship you're building. Some ships really should have some armor covering their engines, because if your enemy gets behind you and just gets to take fire at your engines with no armor, you're going to be a sitting duck real fast. So we've got what looks to be a pretty good ship brewing here. Notice this giant red number, that's 282 negative, that's the power draw that we're currently failing to meet. So it's time to go invest in some systems and figure out what sort of power we're going to have. Now there's quite a variety of power generation. There's antimatter reactors, dark matter reactors, fusion power, nuclear power, a whole bunch of different options. Since it's a mid-game ship, I'm going to assume we have fusion power unlocked by now. So I'm going to drop in a couple fusion reactors, fusion reactors medium size, and then let's see if I can get away with not having to equip 3 of the larger ones. There we go. Now, on a cruiser, it's also a good idea to load a bridge, or a command center possibly. And what the bridge is going to do is, it's going to do a few things. It's going to reduce the command point cost of a ship by 1 and provide a 10% damage bonus to the ship. Now, Now, in Battle Arena, the command point cost doesn't really matter, but the 10% damage is nice. But in the actual campaign, if you want to field a lot of large ships, you're definitely going to want them to have bridges and command centers, and even just cockpits at least, to try and cut down on the command point usage so that you're not running over your command points and having to pay a hefty amount of money. So I'm going to put a bridge here. And that also messed me up a little bit because I got rid of one of my reactors, so I'm going to have to replace that. And let's see, I'm going to put this actually back here with the engines. Now, as you can see, my ship's almost done. I've got a few things missing. One, and zeros included these here, these little check boxes to help with ship design. Something I'm missing, I don't have any ammo. That's probably something really important with torpedoes and flat cannons. I also don't have any energy, so these two here show you your ammo drain. My ammo right now would last 9 seconds. That's just the ammo that's held within these weapons, not very long. And I don't have any power cells either, so my lasers and fusion beams just wouldn't fire. So I'm going to find some ammo first. I'm going to load up some medium ammo storage here. Then I'm going to line this entire interior area each with ammo. Let's see how I'm doing now. Now my ship could fire its ammo-based weapons for 807 seconds until they emptied. That's pretty good. Now I need to find some power capacitors so that my energy weapons up here would also be able to fire. And I'm just going to line these down here. And let's see what that gives me. 43 seconds. Alright. That could be better, but it's something for now I'm going to take. If you notice, the ammo thing here went to yellow. It means it's something that will work, but you should still consider adding more. For the purposes of this video, though, I think this will be good enough. So let's go ahead and name this, it's a Chitin-class cruiser, so Chitin-class, I don't know, Avenger, for the fun of that. And that's basically all there is to ship design. I mean, I can set here if it's going to be forward-facing or if it's going to be a broadside-based ship. I want this to definitely be forward-facing because of the torpedoes. I can tell it if it's the type of ship that should hold position and fire, or if it should always keep moving to provide less of a target for enemies. But since I want it to be an artillery ship, I want it to hold position in the back and just kind of fire away. So finally, let's go ahead and throw it into a battle just to have a little bit of action in this video, and I'll throw this against something that's about the same production cost that's been pre-designed already. So let's see. Let's grab my cruiser. There she is, all in her glory. And let's see. We'll have it face off against this Clorathi battle cruiser. So it's going to be Opteris. Oh wait, that'd be too much. Let's have it, there we go. Let's have it face off against a Strong Claw 3. It's cruiser versus cruiser. Clorathi versus Opteris. And let's see who wins. I'm gonna use the fancy camera. Looks like my front armor is already taking some damage. As you can see here, it's very important to keep the armor on the outside because it's taking damage that my missiles and other weapons would otherwise be taking. And of course, I've gone in way too close for what's supposed to be an artillery ship, so I'm actually going to boost out of here by going all power to engines and try and get away. Looks like I haven't done any damage to the Clorathi. Looks like I might be in trouble. I'm also going to boost my shields as I try to get out to a better range to engage the enemy ship. And at this point, I'm just going to turn around and see what sort of damage I can do to it. There go my torpedoes. Oh, looks like he's got some flak or something that's stopping them just short, yeah. I don't see flak. Oh, he's got point defense lasers. Okay, that's what's stopping me. Yeah. This would be an example of what not to do. If you could see that your enemy was running point defense lasers, going in with a torpedo-heavy ship is probably not the smartest idea. As you can see, I've now lost one of my forward fusion beams and just lost the laser cannons. You can see how important it is to wrap the entirety of the outer hull in armor whenever possible, because that will preserve your weapons to allow them to keep firing. Torpedoes still getting stopped by that point defense fire. Yeah, this is a good job, Zero. Well-designed, pre-designed Korathi cruiser there. I'm probably going to end up losing this one. As you see, once any section of a ship is totally destroyed, the enemy can begin firing on the vulnerable center hull. And once the center hull is taken out, that's going to, that's going to be the end of your ship. So, while my torpedoes continue to fire in futility at the enemy point defense weapons, the interior of my ship is getting destroyed, and that's the end of the battle. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this shipyard-focused video, and we'll see if I'll be bringing anything else. Bye-bye.